Almighty God. I am the Almighty.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
Amen?
Amen.
I'm on this two-lane blacktop road, hardly anything on it, and you turn a bend and here's Tamaray, the Egypt of the West, with 40-foot black and gold pyramids and sphinxes and ziggurats and statues of ancient Egyptian deities. And I said, what the heck is going on here? They became the United Nubian Nation of Moors.
The Reverend Dr. Malachi York.
He's this higher power. He's the master teacher.
We had to understand that we were black and we came from Nubia. Our origins is Nubian, that inhabited Africa, and that the white man was the devil.
White people are the devil. They say Wacky is not racist. Bull crap. I am. I'm saying we got to build a world without them. We don't need them.
He appealed to their sense of estrangement, people who wanted answers. And he's telling these folks, you know, don't take in the white man's hand-me-down religion.
And if you're not black, you don't belong in this room.
All right now.
It's a black thing.
That's right.
He ended up at one point with 10,000 followers. He was in multi-states, across the ocean. They viewed him as a god.
We're here for our 1997 Savior's Day for Dr. Malachi.L. And what this is an annual event where Nubians from all over the planet come and gather at this spot, our land, in Edenton, Georgia.
I'm Schneider LaRoche.
My name is Nim Dael.
My name is Femi.
I'm from Detroit, Michigan.
London.
Staten Island.
I am from Lagos, Nigeria. How long have you been a part of the doctrine? Over a year. It saved my life.
I listen to him on the tape every day for about $6-7 But to listen to him, live and direct, that was the biggest moment, of my life so far.
Dwight Malachi Z. York. He's a perfect representation of the darkest side of cancer. So, Dwight Malachi Z. York was born June 26, 1945. Unfortunately, I don't have the time of his birth, but as you can see, he has a cancer stellium. And cancer is the sign of race. It's also the sign of nations, also the sign of cultures and tribes, also the sign of history. So all these themes will come into play when it comes to this story about this predator. He was basically a racial pimp. So with his son being conjoined to the North Node in Cancer, he was basically engaging in race pimping. He was very much about racial pride, but also racism. Creating a civilization, nation, culture, also engaging in tribalism, that was his claim to fame. Being surrounded by women, that's also included in this cancer theme. Women basically being his backbone. And that's what basically a pimp is, right? Where women are pimps' backbones. Also, this shows in this image shows he was very in touch with his feminine side with all that cancer energy. But isn't that true for all pimps? Pimps are very in touch with their feminine side. Usually they like their hair all, pressed and laid, and they like to wear flashy clothes, and some of them like to wear long nails, and they like to have that very pretty type of look. Also, Cancer is the storyteller of the zodiac. And basically this shows that his creative imagination, which is represented by that sun in Cancer, goes into his quote-unquote historical teachings. I put that historical in quotes because he made up a lot of the history that he taught. And also him building Tamaray, the compound in Georgia that was based upon Egypt.
Reverend Dr. Malachi York. He's not a doctor, he's not a reverend, and his name's not Malachi. He's Dwight York, a con man from Brooklyn, New York.
I got a copy of an FBI intelligence report telling me that this group, while they were in Brooklyn, was the nexus of a long-running series of major crimes. Massive welfare fraud, arson, extortion, the gang of bank robbers that took refuge in the group. Dwight York was a Brooklyn street kid, and he came out of prison still in his mid-20s and made this discovery that he could get all the sex and money he wanted just by setting up a church and declaring himself the God, which he did.
The devil is a liar. So Dwight York has Sun and North Node in Cancer, squaring Neptune and Libra. And this square right here is basically dealing with Malachi Z. York living a lie, being a charlatan, being a con man. Like, this is the epitome of being a con man, Sun square Neptune in particular. Also, it shows where he is delusional and lacking rationality, especially being a Cancer. Also, Sun square Neptune alone can produce a hardcore addict. Also, could cause him to be clownish, a kook, and a creep. Victimization, humiliation, and neglect of children, lacking boundaries where children are concerned. Also, using women to lure the children to him. Also, this square is representing the legal interventions, the informants, and also the woman who was the whistleblower. Basically, the victims coming forward. Also, his long-term incarceration is represented by this square as well.
If you want to get the devil off your back, then change your jacket. If you want to get the devil out your face, if you want to get the devil out your face, stop smiling in his face. If you want to own something, go for yourself.
Dr. Malachi L., who is the greatest scholar in the world today, is the author of over 500 plus books, as well as scrolls and tapes, to dispel what we call the spell of Leviathan.
You know, all the books that Malachi Z. York wrote was basically his literary hustle. Now, I remember being introduced to the Ansar Law community, or whatever it was called. That was before it became Nuwapian. But back when I was a teenager, I had this boyfriend, and he was from the hood. And these books were very popular in the hood. And he got his hand on a couple of these books, and I remember reading them. And I remember like being very weirded out by these books, especially the imagery. As you can see here, it was very much dealing with like extraterrestrial origins, and it had strong Egyptian themes and biblical themes. It was just something not right. Like, I could tell back then this was false teachings, and it was just this dark aura surrounding these publications. Mercury conjunct Saturn in Cancer. This is basically Malachi Z. York being called a master teacher. Also writing books on ancient history. And again, I put history in quotes because he perverted a lot of this history. Books become a business for him. Also, Mercury conjoined to Saturn can make one mean, shrewd, calculating, devilish, and satanic. But also where they are eloquent in terms of speech, precise, clear, concise, poised, and have great timing, controlled cadence when they speak. And he was very authoritative in his speech as well. And he talked a lot about the devil, Saturn representing the devil. And also he talked a lot about the black race, Saturn representing the color black. So wherever you see black, think about Saturn, think about Capricorn. Also, a lot of condemnation talk. And did he have government ties? Was he a government agent like a lot of these cult leaders are? I wouldn't be surprised if he was.
Now we're coming to the 400th year of the prophecy of Genesis. And I'm not asking you to like me, like the teachers. Because the devil is going to make up his mind to come after us one day. It's written in the law. He's going to try to climb Mount Zion to destroy us.
They called themselves Ansaru Allah community. People flocked to it. He had the ability to make people believe.
It's wake-up time. It is time to wake up, shake it. You can go against anybody. You can stand and hold your own against anybody.
And I'm looking at him preaching, and people are in the mosque, in the temple, and they're believing everything that's going on. Whatever he's saying, they are believing it. They're falling for it. They believed everything that he was saying.
I was born and raised in the cult. That was New York. I grew up understanding that, he is the imam and we are all his followers. Growing up, we were separated from our parents. We didn't live with our parents. We were not allowed to go outside into the outside world by ourselves.
We dressed as Orthodox Muslim. We spoke Arabic. My mom tried to say, well, those are your royal garbs and you're a princess.
Because I believe that the truth will last and false things will perish.
We heard his voice on the radio all the time, so he was in our lives every day.
There would not have been a war in heaven if there was not two men to control it.
He was actually my stepfather because my mom became one of his wives. So I looked at him not as just my leader, but also he's a father figure. While the world is burning, we're going to be protected.
Wacky practical religion. So he tried to say that this Nawapianism, this Ansar wasn't a religion, but it was a religion nonetheless. And with Jupiter being conjoined to Chiron and Virgo, is showing that this was a wacky practical religion. Practical coming from the Virgo part. The wacky is the Chiron, religion is Jupiter. So a religion that is on the fringes of society. See what I mean about this imagery in these books? It kind of freaked me out. It was weird looking. It was unsettling. Look at these eyes. But again, you see how he was trying to create this extraterrestrial look? And this is him right here depicted as the Mahdi or Malachi Zaduk, the Messiah. Strange offshoot of Islam. So he based his religion upon Islamic principles and also a little bit from the Moorish religion or movement as well. Also, Jupiter conjoined to Chiron and Virgo is representing a religion that is based upon the chosen people doctrine. Also, with the Virgo emphasis, it's showing extreme piety was expected. Extreme piety from his followers, from his flock. He wanted total submission. And with Jupiter and Virgo, that produces the type of religion where basically you're being told how to dress, how to walk, how to talk, how to eat. Also, vegetarian diet as part of religious belief. So they were vegetarian. Also, believing he was the exception to the rule with virgins, with Virgo being the virgin. He had Jupiter in Virgo opposing Valentine. Valentine is an asteroid that means exactly how it sounds. It deals with lovers and love affairs. This opposition could represent the Islamic doctrine of being gifted hundreds of virgins. if you do well by God or Allah or whatever they call it.
It became an empire. He set up clothing stores, restaurants. The people who came in had to renounce their family. They provided their bank accounts. They gave him whatever possessions they had. Everything was rigorously controlled, and they chased away any drug dealers. To the casual observer, it looked like, hey, they've cleaned up these streets. But the FBI report says one way they cleaned it up was to beat up drug dealers and take their stash and sell it somewhere else. So it was all a matter of surface appearances. Inside, it was a total cult.
Cult leader. So you know what I say, Taurus is the cult leader of the zodiac, and it's because Taurus sets the program that everyone else is supposed to follow. Taurus is the Hierophant. Taurus is the one that sets forth the standards, sets the standard. Venus conjoined to Mars in Taurus. So while he was a Cancer sun, he had Venus conjoined to Mars in Taurus, and that's all it took for him to want to become a cult leader. So cult leader energy. With Taurus, again, we're talking about values, standards, creating the program, and also possession. Taking possession of what other people have, being possessive over his cult members. You know, you got to be possessive as a cult leader. But this conjunction also made it easy for him to get his members to turn over their money and possessions to him. Also, this shows that he was extremely sensual and materialistic. Pretty boy Floyd. You know, he was again, this is another conjunction that shows he was very much in touch with his feminine side. Also, this conjunction can produce narcissistic tendencies. Basically, it produces a love of oneself and where the person can treat others as an extension of oneself. Also, dominating others as well. Dominating women in particular, being abusive towards women. And also, all of this could stem from a damaged self-esteem. Stockholm Syndrome. So York has Venus in Taurus, sesqui-square Neptune in Libra. So this is representative of his wild, outlandish costumes, you know, that whole Egyptian Hotep get up. And I always say, be careful of those men that like to get dressed up in some weird attire. Usually they're perverts. Kept moving the goalposts in terms of displays of loyalty, standards, and values when it came to his cult members. Making the women cover up, hide themselves, wearing burqas, hijabs, whatever you want to call this cover up, get up or attire. Shaming and humiliating women. Giving cult members little rations. And also the thefts that were taking place, including they were robbing banks.
They gave him their devotion, they gave him their dignity, and when there was nothing left for him to take, they gave him their children.
The first time I saw porn was in his home at 13.
I can remember I was 12 years old. One of his women called me to come upstairs or to his private quarters.
The grooming went on where he would just either fondle you, or you had to perform oral sex, or he would have anal sex with you.
And I was like, my virginity. What's gonna happen to my virginity? Because that's all I knew growing up, that we were We were chosen and we were pure and we were to remain that way until we got married. And I believed in it. I truly, truly believed in it.
He actually held me down and took my virginity. I was miserable. Like, I didn't want to exist. Like, I remember, I even one time attempted suicide.
There was nothing intimate or affectionate or I just remember sitting there in the dark. The last thing that I was holding on to was gone. His only words were, this is the culture from our ancient traditions in Africa, and that's what we practice. There was no one to tell. There was no one to tell.
Destroying innocence. Now, Dwight York has Mars and Taurus and sesqui square with his Chiron and Virgo, and this is a particularly very nasty aspect. The sesqui square can deal with behavior that is shocking, appalling, just egregious. So this represents his grooming tactics, i.e. using sweets and treats, including also, I'll wait till I get to the last bullet point, highly inappropriate behavior. This is what the sesqui square can create. Also, this is representing York violating virgins, but in a placating way. Destroying innocence. Also, the welfare hustle. And the Pink Panther doll that had a makeshift penis, which goes into his grooming tactics. So basically, the police found a stuffed Pink Panther doll and it had a makeshift penis attached. And that is one of the ways that he was grooming the kids, the boys in particular, that they said. Demons to some. He was definitely demonically influenced, in my opinion, and the fact that he has Mars square Pluto is a testament to that. So this is a classic rapist, molester of children aspect, especially with Pluto being in Leo. Leo is children. And I would venture to say that he would say that they wanted it because Pluto is conjoined to the asteroid Amor. Amor is an asteroid that deals with love, affection. Also, this is representing his sexual urges, overriding any sense of decency, values, and standards that he had. It can also represent him being a killer, criminal, crooked, and corrupt. Also engaging in fraud, robbing banks in particular. And it shows that he was an egomaniac, especially in the sexual power sense of the word. Psychopathic, basically a monster. And this one cop called him a monster. Demented, deranged, and demonic. Another cop called him demented, so I'm throwing that in there. Also, this could show that he had an explosive anger and he was very much about retaliation. And this square is representing the number of times he changed his name and title. Being under investigation.
I didn't know that what he was doing was wrong. I felt ashamed about it. I felt disgusted about it. But because he was the leader, I didn't know who to tell.
And when you see me, you see God.
And he saw that he could operate totally in the clear, do whatever he wanted within his community.
We were going to have our Mecca, our promised land.
York bought this property. It was approximately 420 acres out on the western side of the county. When they showed up in town, I actually saw some of them, and I thought there was some kind of rodeo going on. They dressed in cowboy attire, big buckles like rodeo buckles and cowboy hats.
We're in the Bible Belt. So let's put on cowboy boots and cowboy hats so they don't think that we're just, thousands of black people coming and take over their town.
And then they transformed into the whole reincarnated Egyptian pharaoh. I know this sounds ridiculous, but this happened.
Black nation building. So Dwight York had Moon conjoined his South Node in Capricorn. And this is basically representing quote unquote black people. Again, because we're talking about Capricorn, the people would be Moon. Black race. Race would be the moon. Black nation. Moon would be nation. Black would be Capricorn. And with the South Node, is showing that there's some karmic debt, there's some past life residue involving black people, black race. You never know. He could have been a racist white man in a past life. Opportunistic, especially where black women are concerned. So Moon in Capricorn can represent black women. The dark side of Capricorn is accentuated, intensified, especially with respect to women, because of that Moon in Capricorn being conjoined to the Capricorn South Node. Also, age, maturity of females is a major theme. The government, the police. Was he a government agent? Again, I ask that again because of this Capricorn energy, and especially with the South Node in Capricorn. Cracking the whip. Neptune in Libra squaring his Capricorn South Node. Now this square is representative of York rather being a thief than having to work. The victims result in his capture by the police, the victims coming forward. The denying of all responsibility until he was facing major jail time. Also, York shirking his responsibilities, including as a father. Also, York placing social restrictions and limitations upon cult members. Also, this is representing his challenge with controlling cult members and how it would cause him to crack the whip even harder. Enabling evil. So, Dwight Malachi Z. York has a kite in his chart. Of course he would, because he was able to get away with these evil deeds for so long. So this kite involves his Mercury in Cancer, Moon in Capricorn, Venus in Taurus, and Jupiter in Virgo. So this kite enabled him to build an empire based upon the books. He was known as a prolific writer, which is very much that Mercury sextile Jupiter in this kite. The clothing, business, the restaurants, which is very much that Venus and Taurus part of it, and other items that he was selling like toothpaste and conditioner and shampoo, enable him to establish a black nation in a rural town in Georgia. Like you see right here, he called it Tamaray. Enabled him to operate unhindered for years. The grand trine that is in this kite is basically representing self-containment, where he was able to operate for years unchecked.
And then the next shift was a spaceship was coming to pick us up.
Wake up, New Orleans, before it is too late.
Only those chosen is going, and we had to prepare ourselves to leave people behind, including loved ones.
That's why that eagle is there. That mound is a landing point when the crafts come.
That ship was going to be the 12th planet, which is called Nibiru, and that we were going to, go on Nibiru. We're going to go live on that planet. The pyramids happened when the movie Mummy came out.
The Mummy.
It was a, box office seller. It was big. He said, okay, so this is where the public is going. So now we have to profit off of, we are the Nubians, we are the original Nubians, because now the public is looking at, Egypt and ancient Egypt. How can I build a pyramid on my land because Las Vegas built a pyramid?
Ask me why I went to Las Vegas. Because I wanted to see Luxor. I wanted to see this thing they built called a pyramid and a sphinx.
He was like, well, if they could do that, then it's possible for me to build a pyramid.
They were building structures, not getting permits, and that's when they first claimed to be sovereign citizens. It was their own nation. That's something nobody in Georgia had ever experienced before.
I'm talking about a real nation, our own nation, right here. Right here. With our own passports and our own tax system, where no one tells us what to do but us.
They actually issued passport to Tamaray. That's your Nuwaubian nation passport, and that's your Tamaray passport. This was the Nuwaubian national flag, odd bills, $3 bills, $7 bill, $19 bill, $49 bill. They built a huge nightclub and opened it up with no permits. The Ramses Social Club, as he called it. Imagine there were 500 or 600 people or more there on a Saturday night.
Of course, he had no liquor license, no permitting, no nothing, and the place was a fire trap. Sheriff Sills went out there and shut down the nightclub.
Alienation. So Malachi York has Moon in Capricorn, Quincunx, Uranus, and Gemini. And first and foremost, this is dealing with him fabricating, inventing, twisting history using a strong alien/extraterrestrial theme. Also, it's showing that in his mind, women were interchangeable and that he was not dedicated or loyal to any woman, even to the point of refusing to acknowledge being the father of their children. And it's been said that he fathered like 200 children from these women. Also, this quincunx represents the neighbors protesting his creation of Tamaray in rural Georgia. Also, where he attempted to become a sovereign nation complete with their own passports, as mentioned in the documentary. Uranus is conjoined to the asteroid Niobe, and Niobe often deals with the catastrophic or sorrowful events involving children. So this is representative of Malachi Z. York harming children, and also it can represent his refusal to be on the baby's birth certificates.
What am I doing? I am building a place, Egypt, right here for you. And be amongst your own, and let your children run free and safe under our protection, your protection. I know where my children are right now.
It started when I was 14 and a half, and I didn't get pregnant until the summer I was turning 17. I was responsible for grooming some of the other girls in the same fashion that I was groomed. I just wish I knew better, you know? I just wish I knew better. It was difficult having to repeat the same thing that was told to me that I didn't believe in. The very first girl that he asked me to bring, she was only 9 years old. He knew that she trusted me more than anybody else that he could have asked to groom her. The Prophet Muhammad took Aisha at 9 years old. The Prophet was able to do it, and you know, I agreed with him. I was a groomer. I became a groomer.
York always had access to any of the women in the cult that he wanted. And he wound up having 200 or more children.
Late 1998, medical professionals contacted me about young women, obviously underage women, people from the compound giving birth in very bizarre circumstances.
We were told we couldn't put his name on our birth certificates. So both of my children have my last name.
We would get calls or reports that a 16-year-old gave birth, 14-year-old gave birth with no father listed. And there's really no investigating it because they wouldn't cooperate. We would just have to file away and hold on to it and add to our investigation.
I titled this slide The Angry Inch because I have a feeling he was dealing with some sexual inadequacy, as shown through Pluto and Leo quincunx South Node in Capricorn. Now, this quincunx, first and foremost, is Malachi Z. York altering history to suit his doctrine. Also, it shows Malachi Z. York not taking full responsibility for any of his children. Basically, this is the bastardization of children, this quincunx right here, even down to taking the placenta with them when some of the women and girls he got pregnant had to go to the hospital to give birth. It was said that some of his members, the men, they would take the placenta with them so that they couldn't track the DNA. Like they couldn't look at the DNA and tie it back to Dwight York. Using the carrot and the stick approaches with children. So this is basically where you're enticing a child with promises of reward, and then you're threatening them with, threats of punishment if they don't do what you want them to do. Also, upping the ante. Punishments he meted out on the children became more severe. Using his age, authority, and fatherhood to abuse children. Also, with this quincunx, sex must be degrading. It must be about control. And this could stem from sexual inadequacy. Also, this quincunx is representative of repeated run-ins with sheriffs, government officials.
I thought immediately as this came from somebody who actually was inside that compound and knew what was going on.
My first thought was, this is awesome. Who sent this?
It went from dispute over liquor license to allegations of child molestation. Child molestation in a large way.
Which eventually culminated probably in one of the largest child molestation cases in the country.
What do you do? He bracketed it like the north corner and then the south corner down here?
It's kind of understood, like wherever he's at, you're trying to be there. It's about proving loyalty. It's about being accessible to him. I was miserable and I started feeling like, how is this our life?
I was losing it. I was completely losing it. I had 2 children. I could not see my children. And I was like, I gotta go. I gotta go. F it, I'm going to the FBI. I'm giving them the story.
She's what broke the case. She told them how the money was handled. She knew the names of the children, when and how they'd been molested. Once it pivoted to a child molestation investigation, everything changed. Then the feds did jump in with all their resources.
Here is the whistleblower, one of the victims that have come forward that helped to convict Dwight York. Hera was a woman scorned. North Node conjoined to Hera. So this represents the woman that was the whistleblower. It can also represent the jealousy he created in the women under his control. Jupiter is opposing Valentine. So like I said before, his belief that he should be entitled to have sex with virgins, young maidens, being his lover as a demonstration of piety. And also he could be basing this upon the whole Islamic belief that if you do well by God or Allah, you're going to be rewarded with, I think they said like 72,000 virgins or something like that, some crazy stuff like that. Chiron could join to Veritas. Some of the wounded subjects reveal the truth. Chiron contra parallel Vesta, basically wounding virgins. And here's some more of his cosmic slop. He has North Node conjoined to Apollo. This can deal with racial hubris, proclaiming himself to be a god. Jupiter parallel Echo. The constant playing of chants on a loudspeaker at Tamaray. That was spoken about in this documentary. Some more cosmic slop. So Dwight Malachi Z. York has Sun running parallel to the fixed star Hamal. And Hamal deals with violence, cruelty, and brutality. So that definitely fits him. He also has Sun conjoined to Propus and to Jot posterior. Those are two fixed stars that can lead to overconfidence, pride, shamelessness, violence, imminence, and manifest intelligence, basically being able to manifest what you envision. But it also deals with force, energy, power, protection, and cultural development. His Venus was running parallel to Ras Al-Gethi, which is a star that produces fixity of purpose, strength of character, an ardent nature, but also dangerous passions. His Mercury is conjoined to the fixed star Wasat. And while Wasat deals with chemicals, poison, gas, it also deals with violence, malevolence, and destructiveness as a first principle. It also makes one inclined towards pessimism, but it also produces clear authoritative speech and prominence in public affairs.
I got pressure from the cult. I got threats. You know, this was something that should have been kept private within the family and never have been taken to the authorities, because you know the authorities are happy now because they brought a black man down.
One of his daughters called me one time. She said, if your sister gets on the stand and testifies, we have 100 people ready and waiting and ready to say she's a liar.
Can you imagine the courage and the bravery that it took for those young girls and boys to stand up, to sit up there and face him on that stand and tell a jury about what he did to them?
He looked at me, he nodded, he gave like a smile.
At first I didn't want to look at him, and I was just, kind of scared, because people who opposed him, they'd go missing. They'd end up in the hospital.
We couldn't have done this without them. We couldn't have ended this nightmare without them. And I think he realized the end is coming.
When he was sentenced and I saw the amount of time he got, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it was like, yes, he gonna be in there for life. And some little part of me felt that I was responsible for grooming some of these girls too, so I'm just as guilty as he is. So if he's gonna go to prison for this trial, then so should I. And that's how I felt, and I wanted to take it back. I wanted to take it back.
Hello, my name is Habiba Washington, and today I'm here to put on record the truth behind all of the lies brought up in the case against Malachi York.
I made a video for the two defense attorneys. I recanted the story. I told them it was not true.
What was said on that stand were a bunch of lies.
And I'll never forget seeing, watching the video of her, that, oh crap, definitely not a good thing.
I feel totally guilty for bringing this case against Malachi. I don't feel that it's right that he is in jail right now.
I felt horrible. I felt pity for him.
This was her father. This was her God all through her life. And she also knows how controlling he is, how he controls his followers, and all the potential threats and things that she may have to deal with.
Oh shit, I'm bringing down a black man and a black organization. And he always told us that this was what the white man wants to do.
I just want to repeat that the charges brought up against Malachi were all lies.
I think the Nawabians got to her. Some threats and intimidation that happened, which is not surprising. It's expected.
The first person that I went to was my mom. And I said, I recanted my story. And she said, why? I mean, she said, you're stupid. She's like, your story that you gave that you testified to, was it the truth or was it not the truth? And I said, it is the truth. And it's still the truth. And she said, what about your own children? Why are you going to betray the other victims? She said, do you think any of them would have came forward if you didn't? She said, don't you think you're betraying the other victims? And I was like, you're right.
When the judge brought her back to Atlanta to testify at a hearing, she went back to it. She was saying the truth the first time. She repeated the truth under oath.
She finally breaks down and says the video's false. They told her what to say. So that was legally thrown out.
This man was finally getting his just rewards.
Although York went to prison, his followers remain. The Nawabian Temple and Bookstore Indicator quietly opened 3 years ago. Their sanctuary features an image of York, whom they call Master of Heaven and Earth.
Can y'all just please leave, man?
There is still some hardcore people out there that believe in this guy and think he's going to fly away in a spaceship sometime and prove all of us wrong.
York continues to update his messages from inside prison.
Hello. You had a collect call from Malachi. In court, I pointed out my jurisdiction rights and how they had no rights over me. My inalienable rights were being blocked. I don't live by their laws or by their government. The case was all in court based around religious belief and who I say I am and who they believe I to be, so that they could eventually, after this case, set a precedent to go after all of the black ministers in Georgia.
There have been many instances that was proven where, oh, this person, we're going to take them down because they're a powerful voice in the black community. This ain't that. This is a black person who is a pedophile, who is a master manipulator, who did these things to his congregation's children.
I am storing it in my subconscious mind and acting on it.
For those that are in the study of cults, this one should be, in the first semester of study.
The earth must be shaken with a great shock. Fear of the Most High must be put back into the hearts of all human beings.
You've got one individual who is controlling literally the minds of a group of people. I think that's what a cult is.
It was frightening at first. Now it's not frightening no more. Now I'm thinking revenge.
He was a chief black eagle of the lost tribes of the Yamasee, and he was the man from planet Risk, the supernatural being sent down to Earth to bring 144,000 of his followers to salvation somewhere. And then he settled on the Dr. Malachi Z. York identity, the master teacher of the United Nawabian Nation of Moors. They were descendants of the black pharaohs of Egypt, and they were a mighty people. They were their own sovereign nation.
The property was forfeited by the U.S. Marshal Service, sold at auction, and purchased by a private citizen who tore down everything. And it looked like a beautiful pasture land that it had been before the Nawabians arrived here.
This concludes my breakdown of Dwight Malachi Z. York's chart, and he is definitely guilty of what he was convicted of. I don't care what his followers have to say, and it's crazy how there's some rappers even that still believe in him and believe that he's innocent and all that. But yeah, his Mars square Pluto alone just shows that he's a monster, he's a child predator, and he's just straight up evil and demonic. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments section. Peace, many blessings, and I'm out. If you would like a reading, you could go to my website. The link is in the description section.